Dear friends, it is indeed an honor and a privilege to address you today on the occasion of your intergenerational dialogue on people, planet, and prosperity. I'm only sorry that we cannot all be together in Geneva, a city that has a special place in my affections from many years working there as Director General of the WHO, and so often together with my dearly missed friend Kofi Annan. Kofi was always a firm believer in intergenerational dialogue, and I'm sure he would have seen it as an essential element to charting our collective path out of the current crisis posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. For the last 5 years of his life, Kofi and I worked closely together as chair and deputy chair of the Elders, the group of independent former leaders founded by Nelson Mandela with a mandate to support peace, justice, and human rights worldwide. In the course of our work, we would often meet young leaders, young activists, whether at UN climate summits, community events in South Africa, or university debates. Now, whatever the occasion, Kofi would always tell the young people with great seriousness, but also a smile in his eyes, you are never too young to lead and never too old to learn. That message of inspiration and humility is particularly relevant to the current global situation. It amplifies the wider point about the importance of social mobilization to shape the civic and policy agenda. COVID-19 has brutally exposed failures of leadership at all levels in society and exacerbated existing inequalities. But at the same time, we have seen tremendous examples of social mobilization at a community level between neighbors, colleagues, and generations, providing mutual support during a public health emergency and an unprecedented slump. The challenge we face now is to build on this social mobilization and resilience whilst maintaining pressure on political leaders to take responsibility and proactive steps to avert future pandemics and other crises. We must learn the lessons from the successes and failures of the pandemic to ensure that global citizens and policymakers alike are better prepared for future challenges, including the climate crisis, the gender gap, and economic inequalities. This must include developing inclusive, transparent, and responsive institutions and processes that can acknowledge grassroots perspectives and propose solutions that are credible to all stakeholders. Such an approach has been key to my work in public life since I first entered government in Norway as environment minister in the 1970s. I became deeply involved, engaged, and convinced in pursuing a pattern of development that could benefit everyone, protect our planet, and promote peace. I continued this agenda as Prime Minister in the 1980s, while I also chaired the World Commission on Environment and Development at the invitation of UN Secretary General Javier Pérez de Cuellar. Our 1987 report, Our Common Future, became a landmark document that brought global warming and sustainable development to the attention of presidents, prime ministers, and finance ministers. While preparing our report, my fellow commissioners and I traveled widely to get a truly global perspective. These consultations took us to countries including Brazil and Indonesia, which at that time were still governed by military dictatorships. However, I insisted that civil society voices should be able to participate in our sessions, including trade unionists, women's groups, youth, and church leaders. Our report was richer for their contributions, and in our humble way, we helped bolster their position with their societies against state oppression and intimidation. Nearly 4 decades later, the world has changed immeasurably. But the principles of dialogue, solidarity, and an engaged citizenry remain indispensable to finding common solutions to our shared challenges. Today, I stand with my fellow elders in urging world leaders and decision makers to give primary consideration to the interconnectivity of the problems we face, and to give civil society, not least young people, a meaningful voice in articulating and delivering the solutions to our shared challenges. The pandemic has highlighted our mutual dependency. We are all in this together. Only through social mobilization, intergenerational dialogue, and upholding the values of multilateralism, illustrated by the life and the enduring example of Kofi Annan, can we hope to overcome today's crisis and leave a better world for our children and grandchildren. Thank you so much.